As you all know, Karen Trout is my favourite author of all time. But there is one other person who deserves a lot of respect, and he certainly has my respect. That person is Timothy Zahn. Now, in the early 90s, Timothy Zahn released the Thrawn Trilogy. Now, the Thrawn Trilogy, in my opinion, saved Star Wars from being forgotten. It basically made Star Wars as huge as it is now. Now, the reason why I say it saved Star Wars is because if you think about it, after Return of the Jedi, the story was wrapped up pretty nicely. You know, it was a happy ending. Han and Leia got together, Luke Skywalker became a Jedi, and the Emperor and Darth Vader were defeated. So, what else could you really do with it? Now, granted, before the Thrawn Trilogy was released, you did get some stories, some comics that came out, but in my opinion, they didn't really do much for the expanded universe. But the Thrawn Trilogy was the first stepping stone to making Star Wars as big as it is now. Now, a lot of people, a lot of Star Wars fans, do consider the Thrawn Trilogy to be the long-promised but never-produced sequel trilogy that George Lucas never gave us. Now, I know that Disney are going to be making their own film, their own story. They will probably take into account some of the novels, but they're not really creating these films based on any of the novels. But I think if it was up to me, I would have released the sequel trilogy to be based around the Thrawn Trilogy. Because it seems natural and perfectly reasonable to do that, because it's set about 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, and in this series of books, well, spoilers, Han and Leia have children, and you also see kind of like a new face of the Empire, because the Empire at this time is being led by Thrawn. Now, Thrawn is a fascinating character. In my opinion, he's the greatest Star Wars character ever created, because he's not really an evil bad guy. He's a villain that you can respect, almost even root for. And he has a lot of chemistry with his other character, Gilad Palayan. Now, Gilad Palayan is kind of second to Thrawn. He's Thrawn's subordinate. He's his pupil, his student, his confidant. And in the beginning, they do butt heads a lot, but then they develop a big respect for each other. And it really shows in Timothy Zahn's writing. Now, what makes a good book, in my opinion, and I'm sure in a lot of people's opinion as well, is good characters, good writing, and a compelling story. And Timothy Zahn delivers on all three accounts. Now, I think that since the Thrawn Trilogy gave us Star Wars as it is now, every Star Wars fan should always read, should read the books, because I think that some Star Wars fans of today have probably never read the books, and I think it's a shame for anyone who calls themselves a Star Wars fan to not read these wonderful books, especially Heir to the Empire. Now, Heir to the Empire is my favourite Star Wars book of all time because it started it all. In fact, Heir to the Empire is what got me into the expanded universe into the first place. And of course there is Dark Force Rising and The Last Command. Now, the Thrawn Trilogy, it's really hard to say, it's really hard to sort of describe just how good it is if you haven't read it, because I think anyone who hasn't read the books, they're not really going to truly understand just how good these stories are, especially how wonderful Thrawn is. And so, I think that for anyone who's watching this video who hasn't read the books, please read the books. And not only the Thrawn Trilogy, read Spectre of the Past and Vision of the Future, read Outbound Flight, read all of Timothy Zahn's work in Star Wars, because, like I said, Timothy Zahn gave us Star Wars as it is now. Timothy Zahn made Star Wars huge. Again, that's just my opinion. That's all I've got time for. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.